Your body is already burning fat right now, while you sleep. But the moment you eat breakfast, you shut that entire process down. That is not an exaggeration. It is a metabolic reality backed by peer-reviewed research from some of the most respected institutions on the planet. In this video, we break down the 7 biological mechanisms that make fasted walking one of the most powerful and most overlooked fat-burning strategies that exists. Stay until number 7, because it is the one mechanism that actually reprograms how your fat cells respond to exercise, and almost nobody talks about it. A 2022 study from Nottingham Trent University found that exercising on an empty stomach burned 70% more fat than exercising 2 hours after eating. 70%. Here is the problem. Most people walk after breakfast. They grab toast, maybe a banana, drink their coffee, and within 30 minutes, they've flooded their bloodstream with glucose. And the second glucose hits your blood, your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin is a storage hormone. Its entire job is to push nutrients into your cells and lock your fat stores shut. So when you walk after eating, you're burning mostly glucose, not fat. You're exercising, yes, but you're burning the wrong fuel. That is lazy diagnostics dressed up as healthy advice. Now, number 1, the insulin gate. Your pancreas is the gatekeeper of fat metabolism. Every time you eat, it releases insulin into your bloodstream. Insulin tells your fat cells to stop releasing stored fatty acids. Think of it like a security guard standing in front of a vault. As long as insulin is elevated, nothing comes out. But after 10 to 12 hours without food, which happens naturally overnight, your insulin drops to its lowest point. The vault opens. Your fat cells begin releasing free fatty acids into your bloodstream. Walking in this fasted state is like starting a hybrid car on electric mode. Your body doesn't have glucose to burn, so it defaults to its backup tank, stored body fat. A 2016 meta-analysis in the British Journal of Nutrition confirmed that aerobic exercise in a fasted state induces significantly higher fat oxidation than exercise performed in a fed state. This is an opinion. This is documented science. And this is where it gets more interesting. Number 2, the glycogen drain. Your liver stores about 100 grams of glycogen, roughly 400 calories of emergency glucose. Overnight, your brain and organs burn through a significant portion of this supply. By the time you wake up, your glycogen reserves are already running low. When you start walking in this state, your body detects the glycogen shortage. This triggers a molecular sensor called AMPK, adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase. AMPK is essentially your body's fuel gauge. When glycogen drops, AMPK activates and forces your cells to switch from burning sugar to burning fat. Researchers at the University of Tsukuba in Japan found that exercise increased 24-hour fat oxidation only when performed before breakfast. Not after lunch, not after dinner. Only in the fasted morning window. And this is where it gets really interesting. Now, I saved these next few for a reason. Because what I'm about to tell you, most people will go their entire lives without knowing. Number 3, the catecholamine key. The moment you start moving in a fasted state, your adrenal glands release 2 powerful hormones, norepinephrine and epinephrine. These catecholamines travel directly to your fat cells and bind to what are called beta-adrenergic receptors. When they lock in, they trigger lipolysis, the actual breakdown of stored triglycerides into free fatty acids your muscles can burn. Here is the part most people miss. Stubborn belly fat, visceral fat, is packed with alpha-2 adrenergic receptors. These receptors actively resist fat breakdown. They're the reason your belly is the last place to lean out. But during fasted exercise, catecholamine levels surge high enough to overwhelm even these resistant receptors. The standard advice tells you to just walk more and eat less. That is lazy diagnostics. The biological reality is that your stubborn fat requires a specific hormonal environment to release. And fasted walking creates exactly that. And this brings us to number 4, and this is a big one. Number 4, the fat oxidation zone. Not all exercise burns fat equally. When your heart rate climbs too high, your body switches back to glucose as its primary fuel, even in a fasted state. The sweet spot for maximum fat burning sits between 60 and 70% of your maximum heart rate. For most adults, that's a brisk walk, not a jog, not a sprint. A purposeful, steady walk. At this moderate intensity, your mitochondria can efficiently oxidize fatty acids for fuel. Push harder, and your body runs out of oxygen fast enough that it reverts to burning glucose, which defeats the entire purpose. Think of it like a campfire. A steady, low flame burns through logs slowly and completely. A raging bonfire burns hot, but blasts through fuel so fast it barely reaches the deeper wood. Fasted walking is the steady flame, and stubborn belly fat is the deeper wood. If that surprised you, wait until you hear this. Number 5, the cortisol window. Between 6 and 8 in the morning, your body experiences what's called the cortisol awakening response, a natural surge of cortisol that peaks about 30 minutes after you open your eyes. Most people hear cortisol and think stress damage. But in short, controlled bursts, like the one that happens at dawn, cortisol is actually a powerful fat-mobilizing hormone. It directly stimulates lipolysis in adipose tissue. Walking during this natural cortisol window amplifies fat release from your fat cells. You're stacking 2 biological triggers, low insulin and peak cortisol, into the same 30 to 60 minute window. This gets left out of every routine fitness recommendation. But here is the critical distinction. Chronic cortisol from stress, poor sleep, overtraining is destructive. It promotes visceral fat storage. The morning cortisol spike is the opposite. It is brief, natural, and designed to mobilize energy. Fasted walking channels it before it fades. If you're still watching, you're already ahead of 99% of people. Stay with me. Number 6, the afterburn reset. When you finish your fasted walk, your body doesn't just stop burning fat. It enters a state called excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, or EPOC. During EPOC, your metabolic rate stays elevated as your body works to restore oxygen levels, replenish glycogen, and repair muscle tissue. And because you exercised in a depleted state, your body prioritizes fat as the fuel source during this entire recovery window. A 2021 study published in the International Journal of Obesity found that fasted exercise produced a proportionally higher contribution from fat sources throughout both the exercise and the recovery period. Your body keeps burning fat for hours after you stop walking, throughout both the exercise and the recovery period. Actually, let me put it this way. It's like turning off an oven, but the heat keeps radiating. The baking doesn't stop the moment you kill the flame. Your metabolism works the same way after a fasted walk. Everything we've covered so far leads directly to this final point, and this is the one that caught even researchers off guard. Number 7, the receptor reprogram. When you perform fasted walking consistently, 3 to 5 times per week over several weeks, something remarkable happens at the cellular level. Your fat cells begin to increase the number and sensitivity of beta-adrenergic receptors, the ones that promote fat breakdown, while simultaneously downregulating alpha-2 receptors, the ones that resist it. This is called adrenergic receptor remodeling. Your stubborn fat literally becomes less stubborn over time. The cells that once resisted every attempt to release stored fat start responding to lower and lower levels of catecholamines. A landmark 2010 study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that 6 weeks of fasted training improved whole-body glucose tolerance and increased fat oxidation compared to the same training done in a fed state. The exercise was identical. The only difference was timing. This is the mechanism that changes everything. You're not just burning fat during the walk. You're fundamentally reprogramming how your fat tissue responds to every future bout of exercise. No, let me rephrase that. You're retraining your body to prefer fat as fuel, permanently. So what can you actually do with this information? Here is what I call the fasted fuel protocol. 5 specific steps backed by every mechanism we just covered. Step 1. Protect the overnight fast. Stop eating by 8 p.m. the night before. This ensures 10 to 12 hours of fasting by the time you walk, giving insulin enough time to bottom out and AMPK enough time to activate. Step 2. Walk within 30 minutes of waking. This captures the cortisol awakening response at its peak. Black coffee or plain water is fine, but 0 calories before the walk. Even a small snack resets insulin. Step 3. Walk for 30 to 45 minutes at a brisk pace. Maintain 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. You should be able to hold a conversation but feel slightly winded. That is the fat oxidation sweet spot. Step 4. Break the fast within 60 minutes of finishing. Your body needs fuel to replenish glycogen and support muscle repair. A meal with protein and healthy fats locks in the metabolic benefits without spiking insulin excessively. Step 5. Repeat 4 to 5 mornings per week for a minimum of 6 weeks. This is the timeline where adrenergic receptor remodeling begins to take effect. Consistency is what converts a single fat-burning session into a permanent metabolic shift. If this changed how you think about morning exercise, hit that like button, because it tells us to keep making videos that go this deep into the science. Make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications. We have a new video coming on the one walking mistake that actually increases belly fat, and you won't want to miss it. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, exercise routine, or medication regimen. If you are pregnant, nursing, have a history of eating disorders, or are taking medication for diabetes, blood pressure, or any chronic condition, please speak with your doctor before implementing any of the protocols discussed.